Okay. Well, Lydia tells me that we're live. I never really know.
Right.
We do the best that we can because we think we're live, and so we do want to welcome everyone onto the stream tonight. And certainly, we are excited about tonight's stream.
Right.
I think that there has been more buzz about our live stream tonight than any other stream that we've done.
Right.
I think we could probably have the president of the Southern Baptist Convention, maybe even the Pope.
And it wouldn't get any more exciting.
There would be more buzz at Emmanuel Baptist Church than the buzz that we've had for tonight's podcast.
It even caused us to have two guests tonight.
Two guests?
Yes.
How is that?
You are the other guest tonight.
I'm the other guest.
Because for a month and a half, you weren't going to be here for any of this.
No, I wasn't. I tell you, just my own frailty, my own weakness. I just wanted to just let Christina have it, but I just couldn't stand it.
Right.
I had to come and be a part of it. And so, but we are excited tonight.
We are
to have Christina. She's going to come on here in just a moment. The title of tonight's live stream, of course, is The Pastor's Wife, or The Life of the Pastor's Wife.
Right.
And so tonight, as we begin, we always begin, or we try to begin, with a reading of the scripture. And so Brother Shad chose his scripture for tonight, and I certainly believe that it is applicable.
Right.
At least the second half of it is applicable, because my wife still has a great deal of charm. She is still so charming,
and has already complained about the first half.
And she's so beautiful as well.
Right.
That's right. But the verse, nonetheless, we want to go ahead and get to the verse.
Right.
And the verse is found in Proverbs 31 and verse 30, where we read there that charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord will be praised.
Amen.
And I tell you, it is just a blessing to be married to Christina. She is such a huge part of my ministry, but that's so secondary, to the role that she serves as wife and mother. And so she has just been a blessing to me now these almost 26 years.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to lay it on real thick.
Right.
All right. Before she comes on here to prepare her. But certainly I'm excited to have her on tonight and to hear what she has to say. And anyway, it's going to be a great time.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And so, Brother Shad, you're going to kind of take the lead. You wrote these questions
for now. Until you decide to take it back.
I'm going to tell you something. All right, before she comes on.
All right.
Said I'm looking at her, but before she comes on, I want you to know that my wife has always been just such a blessing and so submissive in so many ways. But I have never pretended like I control my wife. I can promise you that. So when we talk about who's going to end up in control,
I've never pretended either.
I know you hadn't either. You know her pretty well too.
I'm talking about my wife.
You're talking about your
shot
wife.
across the mouth.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. I have to, we have to kind of eat that humble pie every once.
No, I like your wife. She's all right.
I'm glad to hear that, especially since she's listening.
Right.
And so, so without any further ado, all right, we do want to mention, of course, that we have our mugs here. We've got our drawing going on tonight, and so folks will look there in the chat. They can see the verse that they need to put there.
And our guest told us she didn't want any of these stupid mugs.
That is true. That's the only payment our guests get. And we forgot to give Dr. Allen his when he came in revival this last week. He'd been here the week before.
You forgot.
I did forget. I
did not forget.
Well, that's true.
He didn't bring me a shirt.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
so it was more retribution.
There you go. Well, for me, I forgot. Because I'm more gracious.
Yeah, right.
You are. That. Yeah.
You are. And I tell people you're better.
Yeah.
I do. All the time. Very freely.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. But anyway, I did forget to give it to him. But Dr. Allen, I'm sure he's watching.
Yes.
I'm sure that he has nothing better to do than watch our podcast. And so, Dr. Allen, if you're watching this, we're going to get you a mug.
Right.
We're going to get you a mug. All right. Well, Christina, why don't you come on here with us? We're so appreciative.
Let's get ready to rumble.
There you go. Come on in here, sweetie. There we go.
Man, what a blessing.
I'm
telling you. It's going to be awesome.
She took her watch off. She's getting ready.
Right.
She is getting ready.
So I thought she was putting her hair up in a ponytail. I thought we were going back to Jonesboro in high school for a second.
You never know.
Hair in a ponytail, watch off.
Stop.
It is really good to have you, Miss Christina. And we are thankful that you're here. And I'm thankful that you persuaded your husband to come on with you too. That was really good.
We'll see.
Yeah. So this is one question when I interviewed Brother Paul several weeks ago about the pastorate and walking through the pastorate that I asked him. And so just kind of ask you the same question. So I do want you to introduce yourself. And then what's one thing that most people do not know about you?
So my name is Christina. You can't just sit there and laugh.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm trying to be quiet.
So Paul and I have been married for 25 years, almost 26. We'll be 26 years in December. We have 3 kids. Titus is 22. Lydia, our beautiful executive producer, is 18. And then Lucas is 14. So I am a special education site coordinator at Ruston Junior High. And that's the gist. What's something that most people do not know about me? And I put on here, and you can see it. Paul says that everyone knows everything because I tell everything. So I don't know. We'll see what comes out tonight.
Okay. Might find out something in the live stream tonight.
I might find out something tonight.
Right.
I didn't know. You never know. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right. So let's go this route now. What piece of advice would you give your younger self about trusting God through life's natural rhythms as you've seen it happen now? What would you go back and tell yourself, some wisdom that you would give yourself?
Well, as a Christian mom, a pastor's wife, and one of the things that people probably don't know about me is I kind of have control issues. Yeah.
Shocking.
I have control issues. And so a lot of times I try to jump in first and take care of things without allowing God to work through me. I'm impatient. And so if I could look back, I would definitely say to just sit still and let God pray about it first and kind of let him take control in the situation. To seek him first instead of me trying to solve the problem, because that's what I do.
Right. And I asked this question, and all the questions I really sent you. I know there's always this status, I think, that pastors' wives have to live up to in a lot of ways. And I think a lot of them are created by the church. Some of them are created by a pastor's personality and disposition. And so, as I've watched you through the years from Franklinton until now, it's a different model than what I saw growing up. But it is also a model that I've seen you two thrive in. And so as I think about that,
how's it different?
So I think maybe in my growing up, the pastor's wife is almost an associate pastor type figure. She handles a lot of the day-to-day type stuff and very vocally involved. And so it was very different, like coming under Brother Paul and being with you guys and seeing those differences. And at first thinking, man, this is not going well, like I didn't know, but as I've watched you two thrive and I've watched the ministry thrive, it's helped me in some ways to view it in such a way that I think it's made mine and Whitney's life better, and I know she might comment and say that's different, but I have grown, I think, in my view of that. And so as I think about that, what are a few ways you've seen God use yours and Brother Paul's ministry for his glory?
I would like to go back to one of your
go ahead.
one of your points. One thing I did always appreciate about Paul was that any church that we went in view of a call for, he would always say, I'm going to be the pastor. My wife will not be a staff member.
Right.
But in that, I love the Lord.
Yes.
And I want to serve.
Amen.
And so, it is a little different than probably what we grew up with. So what are some ways that I've seen God use mine and Paul's ministry? And so I've already kind of mentioned it that we've only been in 3 churches. So we were in Franklinton as a youth minister, and then we went to Simpson as a pastor, and then we came back to Franklinton, and now we're at Emmanuel. And I think if anybody knows Paul, you know that his focus is discipleship and missions.
Right.
And I feel that every place we've been that you would be able to see that.
Right.
And so, those areas of ministry and just watching him, and I think I will talk about that in a little bit, but just watching him go through those discipling relationships and bringing people alongside him,
Right.
was really neat. It's really neat.
So, Bro Paul, I know that you're not a part, or this is not your thing, but let me ask you that question. How have you seen God use her in your ministry for his glory?
Well, no, and that I even hesitate to say my ministry. Obviously she's always been extremely supportive,
right?
In that way. And even in the moves that we've felt led to make, we pick and kid, about these different moves and how unsettling it's much more difficult, I think, from a personal home perspective, for a wife and mother to uproot, with the children. She's so emotionally in touch with the children and what's going on with them, and that's her first thought.
Right.
Is how's this going to affect the kids? How's it going to affect relationships? Because and so, she's always just been ready to do what God would have us do.
Yeah.
And even at times when she would say, well, I'm not real sure about this.
Right.
But if you're sure that this is what the Lord wants us to do,
right,
then that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so we'd have those conversations. And so in the big picture, always extremely supportive in that way. In the day-to-day things of ministry and life, again, it just goes back to her loving the Lord and walking with the Lord. When I would go to a church and she talk about that, we would, in the times that you have these conversations with pastor search committees, and they, invariably they'll get to the place, well, what does your wife do? Well, if it was when she was working, well, she was an educational diagnostician, or she was a school teacher or whatever. No. What does your wife do in the church?
Right.
And I said, well, my wife serves in the church because she's a part of the church.
Right.
And she loves the Lord. And so just watching Christina grow in her own understanding of her giftedness, and everywhere we've gone, Christina has always been at home.
Yeah.
She's just part of the church.
Right.
And so there's never really for us, and I know this doesn't work for every pastor and every pastor's family.
Right.
But I've been so blessed that Christina, everywhere we've been, she's made herself at home. She's become part of the church.
Yeah.
She has had deep, abiding relationships with women and men in the church. But I mean, she just becomes part of it and gives herself to that in a very transparent way. And God's blessed that.
Right.
I believe. And so, the churches that I've been a part of, the two churches before I came here, they might have been fine with seeing me go, but they would have wanted Christina and the kids to stay, and that's just kind of the relationships that we've had, which it's very difficult in the leaving.
Right.
But she is, she just loves the Lord, loves people. Yeah. And so that makes it such a blessing. And then her support of me in that is just, we're just in this together.
Yeah.
And so,
okay, that's enough of that.
Anything else on this question?
You get the chance to do that tonight. You can't do it when I'm preaching, so go ahead.
That's right. I would like to tell a story.
Tell a story.
Okay. So we need to tell how we met and how we got married.
Okay.
Okay, sure. You ready?
Sure.
Fever, hotter than a pepper sprout.
Something like that.
Something about Jackson. Okay.
That's a song. Don't just.
I don't know what he's.
Yeah, just leave it alone. Just leave it alone.
So we were both at Tech. Paul had graduated, and I had two quarters.
When we started dating, you had a whole year left.
A whole year? Year left.
Okay. Summer.
So we met. We were set up on a blind date, and so we're dating. And he was working at a farm. And one night, we're talking, and he says, I feel that one day I feel God calling me to the ministry. And, I'm thinking, okay, whatever, never in my wildest dreams that I think, hey, I'm going to be a pastor's wife. So, I kind of put it in the back of my mind. And, so we had our first couple of dates when we dated for 6 months. And this is the funny part of the story. I was about to have to move into my own place. And I look at him and I said, hey, do you want to get married? I don't want to live by
Aw.
myself.
Isn't that sweet?
She proposed to you.
That's not exactly how I remember it, but it was something like that. It's very close, very close.
And he said, sure. So we had a 2-week engagement and got married. Our first date was July 3rd. We got married on December 3rd.
5
December
months to
3rd.
the day.
So it was a fever.
I guess so. I guess so.
And I was, and once we were married, we really started getting plugged into those small group Bible
Mhm.
studies. And then I just saw the Lord do a work through Paul. And then I was like, he might have been serious about being that preacher. Like,
Oh man.
Oh no!
and by that
I
point,
didn't really believe
Yeah.
that.
we're already married. And I'm like, there's nothing I can do about this. Like, but praise the Lord, he worked it out for his glory.
Good.
So,
Yes.
But
yes.
yeah,
Amen. Amen.
it was.
No doubt.
I was in the moment. I was not thinking ever that I would be
Right.
a pastor's wife.
Right. And so in thinking about doing this and talking to Brother Paul about doing this tonight, my mind is I really focus on ministry and pastors and pastoral. That's kind of where my heart is. But we know that most of the people that are listening tonight are not pastors' wives.
Mhm.
And so I do want to make this disclaimer. I think that so far apart from being a pastor's wife, Christina, I've seen you love the Lord. I've seen you teach women what it looks like to love the Lord. And so as we kind of walk through the rest of these questions, I'm generally asking you this as a woman who loves the Lord, and there'll be questions about ministry and things of that nature. But as you've served alongside of him,
Mhm.
what is for you one of the most, or maybe a couple of things that have been the most fulfilling as you guys have walked together in service to the Lord?
Well, there's lots of things that I could
Right.
talk about, but just seeing Paul live out his faith
Right.
and live it out in all areas.
Right.
Like there's not a different Paul when you go home.
Right.
And some of my most fondest memories of ministry were, and my kids can attest to this as well, were, at Christmases when we had people from how many different countries and,
Right.
just everybody's invited. And I am not the hospitality queen. I do not cook. I mean, I'm better now. I'm not with the cooking,
Right.
but having people come over
Right.
and I had to kind of get into that, but just to, inviting people to stay at our house that were not people that I would invite into my home,
Right.
and just seeing that lived out, and just that discipleship and that's just probably been the greatest blessing, to me.
Yeah.
To know that across all settings,
Right.
it's the same.
Yeah. Well, and
Now, don't get me wrong. I want to punch him in the face
Right in the
Yes.
face.
often.
Yeah.
There, now the truth.
Yes.
Comes out.
Often.
Quit laying all that thick. We're
Right.
done with all that. Now
Right.
we get down to where we live here. Now.
But, and I don't know, I think we might talk about this later, but, our marriage is one of my greatest blessings.
Right.
Paul is my best friend. And it's a decision every day to love each other.
Right.
There are times when I don't like him.
Right.
I don't like him at all.
Right.
Yeah.
At all.
Not even a little.
I figured
Not
you were going to
even.
say that a third time for us. Yeah.
But it's a decision that we made 25 years ago
Right.
to
Right.
love each other. And even in those days where, I want physical violence to happen, I have to remember,
Yes.
that this isn't,
Yeah.
it's not, this is where we're supposed to be.
Right.
And some of this too. I mean, and we talk about this. There are, and God bless them, there are couples that will tell you we've never had an argument, and I think they actually believe that.
Right.
I mean, I think
Yes,
I mean,
right.
I'm not saying that they have or
Right.
haven't, but there's just there's such a in their personalities are
Right.
such, and the Lord's put them together. I mean, it's the
Right.
Lord's doing, because these are Christian people, And so the Lord's put them together in such a way that they don't argue. But Christina and I are both type A personalities.
Y'all went at it from a different route.
We did,
Yeah.
totally. I mean, we are so much alike.
I'm a very good boss.
Yes.
Yeah, she's a take charge person, and so am I.
Yeah. Right.
And so
Yes, y'all
oftentimes, we say, two wrongs don't make a right.
right.
And so the Lord has made it right.
Right.
And he has helped us walk through
Yeah.
that. But we would both be lying to say that we don't have disagreements.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is the safety and the security of that covenant that we have before the Lord
Right.
Has helped us through those things.
Yeah.
And at the, we know each other so well, like there's
Mm-hmm.
times where I'm just like, this is just Christina.
Right.
And it's not that big a deal.
Right.
We're arguing over nothing because we're very similar.
Right.
And God's given us the grace to help each other through that.
Right. Well, and I think, Dr. Allen made mention about your authenticity, but I think that's one of the things that have stood out about both of you. Y'all are both very authentic people, and it looks different, lived out in a lot of ways. But y'all are both very authentic people. And I think that's been one of the biggest benefits to my life, watching y'all, living under y'all, in walking with Whitney and encouraging Whitney and to just kind of do what the Lord's called her to do, as opposed to what I might even think she should do sometimes. And I think that authenticity is a big deal for a lot of people in our church, a lot of lives that y'all have impacted, here and in South Louisiana. So whether in ministry or not, what is a practical way to support your husband? All right. And encourage him or them, talking to our audience in their own faith journeys. How you come alongside of him?
So I would like, I have my notes here.
Yeah.
So I would want to say that it's been really easy.
Yeah.
With Paul because he loves the Lord.
Right.
And because we have that basis. He's been a godly father, a godly husband, a godly pastor. And so that's just been a blessing to see. And it makes it so much easier. I mean, just think if he was a jerk, it would be very hard to support him.
Right.
And he knows our personality, my personality is to do whatever I can to aggravate him and to push his buttons. And like, it makes me happy.
Yeah.
That's the flesh right there. That is the flesh. That's not a spiritual gift there.
And you couldn't go on a mission trip with him ever again.
I thought that was rude.
Yeah.
Well,
whatever. We won't talk about that.
Right.
But so with that being, part of my personality, I hope that through the years of just being consistent, hope he feels encouraged.
Yeah.
And, just being able to come alongside him and doing that and supporting him in that ministry.
Right.
I know when we were younger at Franklinton, when we had small children, it was very hard. We had 3 small kids. I would not see him on Sunday mornings. I would get to church and I was mad. I mean, I was ticked because his kids did not act right. And, I would get in church and I would, at first, I would just he's fixing to go up and preach. And I'm like, do you know what your kids did? And he's like, okay, Christina. Like, he's trying to calm me down before he goes up to preach. And I'm like, I in my immaturity as a Christian and as a mother, my spiritual immaturity as well, I hope that got better, and just, I don't even remember what the question was, how to encourage him. That was not encouraging.
I'm
sorry. Okay. That's the way not to do that.
Right. So don't do that.
Don't do that.
Got you.
But, through the years and once, I was still learning what it meant to be a minister's wife and what that looked like and dealing with his children, our children. I'm sorry, one of them's in the room.
Yeah.
But, just that encouraging, hopefully over time he has seen that encouragement and love throughout that.
Right.
Well, I'm going to say a couple things that you have done to encourage your husband.
Oh.
And so, I really appreciate, Well, I think the main things is her own relationship with the Lord.
Right.
You know, I mean, she reads her Bible, she prays, you know,
Right.
you know, and so we have been united in what we have been teaching our children and what we've been, you know, I mean, there's no, well, dad's telling us to do this, mom's telling us to do that, you know, those kind of things. The biggest thing is us being in agreement.
Yeah.
And so if we're in agreement over the main thing, which is Christ,
right.
That's been a huge, and then I guess in a secondary way, and this doesn't matter if you're a pastor's wife or not,
right?
Like knowing, like there have been times as a pastor, but also I think there'd be times if you were a school teacher or you were, you know, when you feel like, you know, the whole world is sort of, you know, everything that you've done that day has been difficult.
Right.
And everybody you've talked with that day has been difficult. And maybe because there's a spiritual dynamic to that, you're sort of spent.
Yeah.
And you're worn out and you feel like you've been pushing water uphill all day, but always knowing when I come home, the person who's going to meet me there is on my side.
Right. Right.
She's on my side.
Yep.
And if the whole world, all right, I know that when I know the Lord's for me,
right,
all right, because I'm in Christ, but I know when I go home, she's for me.
Right.
You know, and I think as a husband, you know, we talk about the needs of men and women, okay? Yeah. And we talk about that. She's pointing to some of her answers here.
I put ready to fight anyone who is upsetting.
All right. And also the fact that she never has fought anybody that's upset. That's also a thing that's blessed me about her. But we think about what men and women need. You know, women need love. Right. They need to know that they're loved.
Right.
But men need respect.
Right. And
that's what men need, you know, in their marriage. And Christina's always given me that.
Yeah.
And that's just been a huge, huge blessing.
Right.
So,
and I would like to just take a second to encourage, you know, the church, like we're talking about, you know, when we were at Franklinton when our kids we had all three of them and they were young, and, you know, we just had in every church, we had been so blessed to have people in the church come alongside us, help take care of our children. Like there was people, I mean, my children have grandparents and towns, every place we've been in, because they have just come alongside us and loved on us. And so, you know, as a church, that's just so encouraging to me and to Paul. And, you know, so just reach out to your ministers' wives and just let them know that, hey, do you need a break?
Yeah.
What can I do for you? Because I know that was a blessing for us, especially in those younger years.
Yeah, we were far from family.
Yeah, we were always away from family.
We were always away. I mean, it's only coming back here to Russell we've been close to family. Of course, by the time we came back here, our children were older.
Yeah.
And so it's just been different. But you're right. I mean, it's really every young family in the church needs what Christina, not just your pastor and your pastor's wife, but I've seen, you know, here in every church we've been. I think if a lot of times we feel like it's hard to get close with people in the church, but a lot of times that's not really them, it's us.
Right.
You know, we're guarded because maybe we've been hurt.
Right.
There's been something else. And we've just had some really wonderful experiences in church life. We had that same experience when we were, you know, before we surrendered to ministry.
Right.
When we were members at Cook Baptist Church. People there just embraced us.
Right.
And then we went to Franklinton, we went to Simpson, we've come here, and everywhere we've been, we've embraced the people and they've embraced us. And we believe that's the work of the Holy Spirit. You know.
Right.
So
So how do you prioritize family time and maintain strong relationships within your home, given the demands of life?
Well, just talking about when our kids were younger, it was a lot harder. And we did, I always tried to be in a small group Bible study with other ladies, just to have those connections with other believers, just to come alongside us and not only, you know, take care of some of the physical things, but those spiritual needs, you know, and even like older ladies that were pouring into me, even as, you know, a minister or pastor's wife. That was always such a blessing. And so just making sure that, you know, and a lot of times I'm like, oh, one more like Bible study to do. But it was always such an encouragement.
Right.
So just making time for those Bible studies, those small groups, those prayer groups. Like even if we didn't get together every week, I knew that these ladies were praying for me. That was a big game changer.
Right. I would, and I know Brother Paul's done this before, but I want you to do it. So y'all have family worship at night. I want you to talk about that from your perspective. Like what goes on, what have you seen stem out of that? Because thinking about this question, I think that's one of the big deals about how what I see when I see your family, and that's one of the things that I've tried to adopt in our family is to incorporate those times where our kids see us singing the Bible and reading the Bible. So just talk about how you've seen that be an effect in y'all's life.
Yeah, it's so every night, most every night.
We haven't been nearly as religious
No,
as the kids have gotten older and moved out.
It has been harder, but when they were younger, like we made sure that every night we had family devotion.
Right.
And so we would just do the family catechism. And there were times when, especially when it was 9 o'clock and Paul says, it's time for devotion. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like it's 9 o'clock. I go to bed at 8:30, you know. But he needed to do that. He needed to prod me, you know, to get in there and go through the verses and sing the song and just seeing your kids, you know, in that time and hopefully that's something that they'll be able to reflect on. And when they start raising their own kids, you know, I'll make sure and tell them, you know, this is what you need to do, but that won't work, you know. They're not going to listen, but maybe they'll reflect back on what happened in our home. Now it was never, sometimes it wasn't perfect. A lot of times some family arguments resulted from devotion time.
Sometimes the rod came out during those times before it was over with. You know, I mean, hey, it had to.
That was it was a time for conversations and just you know, kind of like a debrief of the day, and that was, I hope for my kids, our kids, it's, you know,
and pretty simple. I mean, it's not, and I think that's what a lot of people think. Oh, well, yeah, of course, y'all had family devotion. Your father's the pastor, you know. But I mean, like literally, we take the family catechism, and for a long time, we didn't have songs in there like we have now. You know, we just sang the doxology. We sang the doxology, you know, as a family.
Years, Lydia says years.
For years, we sang the doxology and so, you know, but it was they may not know any other song, but I guarantee you, no matter where they find themselves in the world, they can sing the doxology. And it's pretty, so we would sing the doxology. We would usually we have the memory verse up on a little board there in the house, and so I'd read the question and answer. We used to have the question answer and the memory verse, but then somebody thought the board was too big that we kept. So anyway,
it did not go with the aesthetic.
No, it did not go with the aesthetic of the house. And so we got down to, so I would read the question and answer, we'd read the memory verse together, and then we just read the Bible passage, you know, and sometimes we talk about the Bible passage. Probably more often than not, we just move into our prayer time.
Sometimes the passage would be preached.
Well, sometimes they needed some preaching too, Brother Chad, you know. That's
I'm saying that.
I don't think y'all understand.
It got a little long-winded.
Sometimes I would ask them what I just read, and nobody could tell me. We'd have to do it again. You know, sometimes that happens
up in youth class at night.
Yeah, nobody.
We've been going over something for weeks and weeks. I'm like, to answer me this, they're like,
they give you that deer in the headlight.
You
know, but that's just it's not that hard. It's not that hard.
So one of the big things that has stood out to me when me and you, Brother Paul, not you, Christina, have been off together. You know, I've heard you say, we've talked about Bible study or something like that. You're like, I'm not worried about it. Christina's going to take care of that. And I think that's a big deal, that like this is so ingrained, and I know it don't happen all the time, but it's so ingrained in y'all's family that she knows, hey, I'm going to come in and we're going to do this, you know. It just becomes a practice. I think that's huge. So I'm looking at time. All right. So what's one practical tip for balancing the various roles? I put that we play as women, and I was going to fix that the whole time, but that the women play as a wife, mother, friend, professional, etc.
Well, it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Just stay in those small group Bible
Right.
studies. It also, and I put, as a pastor's wife, it helped me
Right.
to have friends that were not in the church.
Right.
Because a lot of times nobody wants to be friends with the pastor's wife.
I can't imagine that. So friendly. I mean, hey, you're so, sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
But I mean, sometimes
Right.
it's hard to find,
Yeah.
friends being the
Right.
the pastor's wife. So I always made sure to have friends outside of the church, and then just those mentoring relationships.
Right.
I could list several ladies that have just poured into me,
Right.
and just having those people that I can call on,
Right.
when I have these prayer concerns or
Mhm.
anything like that. So
Yeah.
small group Bible study, and just staying in the Word,
Yeah.
and praying.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm going to move on because I
Okay.
feel like these last two questions are going to take a minute, and I know we have a question or two.
Okay.
And so, how do you find joy and contentment in the everyday moments, even when life feels challenging?
So it's hard. Joy and what's the other word? Contentment. Joy and contentment. And I just think that you have to just make a decision that I'm gonna have joy, because I'm not a what's it called?
I did not say anything.
You were fixing to say something.
No, I'm not. No, I'm
What
not.
were you gonna say?
Oh man.
Oh, nothing, sweetie. You are a joy, so I don't know. I'm sure
I am not. What's the word? I'm not
a naturally joyful person. Is that what you're saying? I mean, that's what you said.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not.
That's fine.
And so I love to have fun, but joy, to me,
Right.
that is just like bone deep.
Right.
That joy.
Different than happiness
Yeah.
or laughter.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
part of the fruit of the
And-
spirit. Yeah.
And so that's hard. And so I just have to make a decision. I'm going to, and contentment is a whole nother issue. Just being content,
Right.
and with just this pair of shoes,
Right,
just being
right.
content with what I have.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
It's hard.
Well, and I really believe that is the answer that I was looking for, because I think so many men and women alike, but especially women, like they go through their life and they don't have these like long-term victories before the next storm comes.
Right.
But it's just like a discipline. It's a commitment every day to find your joy in the Lord,
Right.
to find your contentment in the Lord. And you're going to do a really good job at it some days, and you're not going
Right.
to do a
Yeah.
good job at it some days.
And I think when we're talking about being a wife and a mother,
Right.
to be content, it's a daily decision for her to be content
With
her
you?
with her husband. Yes, I mean that's what I was going to say. Thank you for completing that sentence, but that is actually what I was going to say. And I think that needs to be, contentment is being thankful for what you have,
Right.
and seeing it as a gift from God.
Right.
And so I'm able to be content in all things. Paul said he was, because the Lord, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Right.
And so her making that decision, and I really believe that what she's dead on, in this idea that, she makes a decision. She's going to be content with her husband. There's plenty of things to fix,
Right.
as we all
Right.
know, with any of us.
Right.
But certainly she's got plenty to work on here. But just choosing, I'm going to love my husband today,
Right.
and that's what.
I'm not going to punch him in the
I'm
face.
not going
Right.
to punch him in. You need to keep saying
Yeah.
that.
I'm not gonna-
Write that on the
gonna punch him.
chalkboard.
There you go. That needs to be on the chalkboard.
Yeah.
We need to remember that. So.
All right. So, what advice would you give to a woman who feels called to serve? And we're not talking about ministry, because there are plenty of women here that have a desire to serve and do that aren't in ministry. So, called to serve in new ways within the church community. Why is it necessary that a woman be actively serving within the church?
Do it.
Yeah.
Just jump in there.
Right.
Our spiritual God gave us all certain spiritual gifts.
Right.
And if you don't know what yours is,
Right.
find something to do. And if that's not it,
Yeah.
let's do something else. But
Right.
it is very important to be in the ministry of the church. That's how we're supposed to be connected and love on one another is through our spiritual gifts and serving.
Right. Right. Now, Brother Paul, I think we have a question.
Yeah,
or two over here.
I got a couple of questions here. Are they both from Adam Handy? All right. So Adam asked, he's one of our, if we had a gold star watcher,
He is.
he would be.
Yes,
I mean, if
no
we
doubt.
gave out gold stars,
No doubt.
and maybe tonight
Right.
we can
Has
give
he
out
got a mug?
He has won a mug.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got a mug.
Yeah, he's got a mug. But you know, if we had, we're going to give him an imaginary gold star.
Okay.
Tonight. All right.
All right.
He's get it.
Viewer of the summer.
Viewer of the summer. Sure. Why not? Why not?
Right.
And so
No, Adam.
there you go. So he's asking a question here. All right. Are the experiences of being a pastor's wife what you expected? And what aspects are more challenging than others?
So we've been really blessed. All of our churches have just been so gracious and so kind to us. But the one thing that I found the most challenging was, and it really, I would say, just having everybody else's problems. Being a pastor, you know, you're walking alongside with people that are having problems
Right.
and issues, and it's kind of like that a lot, you know.
Right.
How would you say it? Like just walking through life with people, and people have problems. I have problems,
Right.
you know, and then putting other people's problems, you know, walking through that is challenging. And when it's so much at times,
Right.
You know, I can look back and several times where it just felt very difficult.
Right.
You know, when there was just so many hurting people and things that we were just walking with them through.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
because a lot of times, you know, when this person has an issue, they don't know about all these. There's all these other things that are going on that you're privy to, and you're praying for, and you're counseling with someone through. And that's not always just me.
Right.
A lot of times, and of course, and just if it's affecting me, it's affecting her with one flesh.
Right.
But when you know, this person comes with this issue, well, you want to give them, you know, time and attention. You want to pray with them.
Right.
And so you begin to, as Galatians 6 tells you, know, we begin to bear one of those burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ.
Right.
But you've got 10 other very similar or just as weighty.
Right.
It's just as weighty,
Yeah,
you know, other things that this person doesn't know about.
Right.
And you really genuinely want to help them.
Yeah.
And very often that gets heavy. It does. It gets heavy. You know, when you've got many of those going on at one time.
Right.
And I think we really haven't experienced that as much in the last 7 years that we've been here at Emmanuel, but certainly at other times in our ministry, that was, and we experience it now in small bumps.
Right.
But that was, that was huge.
Well, you know, we always like point out Job's wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she's watching him walk through this thing, you know, and I'm not talking about was
still
she
not
wrong.
Okay to say,
like I'm not saying she wasn't wrong or anything,
No.
but like, I think that's an example of how the wife is also bearing the burden of the husband.
Yes.
And sometimes it looks better. You just quit this crap, you know? You got your degree. You could teach ag. I'm sorry. It just got PG-13.
Yeah,
I'm
so going there,
sorry.
Chad.
Yeah,
Watch out.
my
Watch
bad.
out. All right.
But like you see that, and like you said, you're dealing with only like this one person. That's all they know you're dealing with.
Well, yeah.
Dealing with 100 things, and then she wears a lot of the weight of that because, like you said, you get home, she's the one that's in your corner. You know, that I've seen the challenge of that. You know, even with Whitney wanting to defend me in certain areas and cases. So, but then there's another question.
Yeah, and so are there unrealistic or unhealthy? This is Adam's question, I think. Are there unrealistic or unhealthy expectations that you feel are put on the wives of pastors?
I've really never. Yes, there are. You know, I'll every time we've gone and viewed a call, I've said, you know, I don't play the piano, I don't cook, you know, I just start.
You're not going to head up the hospitality ministry and the bereavement committee and all these things. You know,
but I can tell you what to do.
I can totally tell.
But she will keep this pastor straight.
Right.
All right. If you call this pastor, she will keep him straight. That's it.
You know, I think we're moving away from that though. I have never really felt like that I was not enough.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I've never felt that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we have, since our kids are older, it's just a completely different ball game. You know,
gotcha.
I can remember in Franklinton just feeling like we were in a glass house.
Yeah.
You know, and just all the weight, like just we were visible
Right.
to everybody. And that's when the kids were little and being bad, and
I know.
Yeah.
they still are. But you know, I've never felt unrealistic expectations in any of
Right.
our churches,
Right.
but I'm sure that there are some that
Yeah.
that do.
Well, and I've had conversations, you know, I have
Right.
friends, you know, I mean, in ministry,
Right.
and brothers that, you know, whose wives have been hurt
Right.
terribly
Right.
by the words of church members, or they've been hurt terribly because of things done to their husbands.
Mhm.
I know grown up pastors' kids
Right.
who don't want anything to do with the church because of the way their father was treated, or the way someone spoke to their mother, or
Right.
maybe the way they were treated,
Mhm.
you know, in church life. And so I'm not excusing any of those things. I'm just unbelievably thankful
Yeah.
that we haven't experienced that. And I do think that for Christina's part, I think her personality has gone a long ways to
Yeah.
also kind of help
Right.
with that.
Yeah.
I've always, you know, people pick on, you know, they like to pick at Christina because she likes to pick at them. And somebody will say, well, you know, and as long as it's in good fun and they're picking, they say, well, yeah, so-and-so was messing with Christina. And I said, well, Christina doesn't need me to defend her.
Right.
You know, she can
Right.
take care of it, you know,
Right.
but we're saying that in jest. And,
Yeah.
Right.
and that's really in the life of the church, you know, that's what we've experienced, just love
Right.
and kindness. And,
Yeah.
you know, there's these little blips that you can look back
Mhm.
on, but they are so momentary
Right.
in comparison with, when we look at the almost 23 and a half years
Yeah.
of ministry out of the 26 that we've been married.
Mhm.
Those momentary issues, I mean, they're not
Right.
even worth really thinking about
Right.
compared to all
Yeah.
the joy and the blessing that we received.
Yep.
And she's been right there, done awesome.
Amen. Well, Brother Paul, we did it. Did
We
we
did.
exceed your expectations?
Man, we made it through. I don't think I'm gonna
Good.
get fired or anything at
Good,
the end of this.
good,
I think
good.
Christina and I are gonna stay married.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope so.
Well, I'm very appreciative of this. I feel like, you know, I feel like it's needed in our church for our godly women to talk to women about being godly. You know, I think that's just a huge deal. And so thank you for coming on tonight, Brother Paul. I'll let you cap this thing off.
All right. Our executive producer is going to come now. All right. We have that's right. We're going
Yeah.
to let our guests draw for us.
Oh, man.
Now, there are some people who are watching this closely.
This is very
All
high
right.
energy.
So do not look. All right. Who is it?
Jimmy Hyatt.
Hyatt.
I think their whole family's one of them.
I think that the Hyatt family is trying to get a set. All right, that's what I think's going on there.
These
I'm telling you,
You have
don't
water
spill
in
my
that.
water. That's right. Yeah, they're I'm telling you, these are in high demand. So I understand. I mean,
Right.
the only thing better than having one is having two.
Right.
So I'm sure that they are excited. So anyway,
Yeah. Well, Bro Paul, you close us out tonight.
absolutely. Well, thank y'all for being with us. And now next week we've got one more summer live stream. Next week we're
We
gonna
have
have
one or two.
I think we just have one.
Well, we said me and you were going to cap it off. I mean, I'm fine if we don't.
All right. Yeah, I was trying to shortchange you there,
Well,
brother.
I mean, we don't have to.
All right. Well, I'm interviewing you last week.
No.
All right, I'm putting you under the spotlight. We're bringing the big light in here. I'm bringing Christina's got those
I'm
lights.
taking
at
off
home.
that Sunday.
Okay. Well, next week. All right,
Yeah.
we won't speak to the week after that. But next week we are going to have Joseph Melton on here with us. Joseph is the manager of our sober living ministry.
Right.
And he has been with us now for about 2 years in that ministry, doing a wonderful job. And so Joseph's going to be coming. He's going to be sharing his testimony, going to be talking about sober living ministry. It's going to be a really good time. And so I'm
Right.
looking forward to that. So y'all join us next week for that.
Yeah.
And certainly we appreciate Christina being on here with
Amen.
us.
Yep.
And God bless y'all. Y'all have a good night and a good week.
Yep.